Good morning, it's Greg Otten here with maritimegardening.com, and today I'm going to take you around the garden. I'm harvesting some greens this morning. Morning's the best time to harvest greens, and I'm going to show you some tricks and techniques for dealing with greens that are cut and come again greens. Greens that you can harvest from periodically over the growing season. You don't have to keep replanting. I find succession planting annoying. Like there's some kinds of lettuce where you're supposed to plant every 2 weeks, and you can do that. I just find it a bit of a pain to have to deal with seedlings. So I plant kinds of lettuce that tend to last quite a while. I use them as cut and come again vegetables, and when they're done, I kind of just stop eating lettuce really for the season. By then I've had so much, I'm ready to move. There's other things that are green that are in the garden, and I move on to those things. Anyway, there's some strategies and techniques for doing that that will best enable you to get the best yield out of your garden, minimize pest problems, disease problems. And I mean, if you're growing for food, you want to maximize your yield, get the most out of your garden you possibly can. So stay with me, and I'll take you around and show you how I go about doing that. It's the morning. That's the best time to harvest your greens. They spend the whole day getting pressure from the sun, and usually by the evening, when you think you want to harvest your greens, it's supper time, you want to get some nice greens on your plate. But really, you should come out in the morning. Even this is a bit late. It's around 10 o'clock in the morning. You should be doing this at 6. Before you go to work, you come out and harvest your greens in the morning. It's a very pleasant thing to do. Bring a cup of coffee, and it only takes about 5 minutes. And this time of year, that's really all I do in my garden. I'm done planting. I'm done watering because I've got a good mulch, and I just come out here for 5 or 10 minutes a day and collect food to eat. Right? There's no point in harvesting all your greens for the week in one day. Why would you do that? I mean, you do that at the grocery store because you don't want to go to the grocery store every day, but this is a grocery store in your own backyard, and you want things as fresh as they can be because they taste the best, and they're arguably the best for you when they're fresh like that. So you do it in the morning because all night long they've had no pressure from the sun, and there's been dew, and they've had time to regenerate and grow and gather up water from the soil, and so they're at their best first thing in the morning. So you pick them, don't wash them, just pick them, put them in a bowl, put a damp cloth over the bowl, stick them in your fridge, and then they're ready for you when you get home from work. So stay with me, and let's go have a look at this. Alright, so here I have some beautiful romaine lettuce. Oh, there's a little beetle there. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's going to do bad or good. I have no idea. Maybe I'll get him out of there. So this is a good example. You can see my romaine. They're doing really well. There's a weed. But the leaves are touching each other. And you don't want that. You don't want that to be too excessive, because it decreases airflow between the plants. It gives the pests a really good place to hide, and if there's wind, they rub each other and they can get damaged and so on. So one approach I use to cut and come again is to treat it almost like I'm pruning. Here's my bowl. And for lettuce, some things you might want to use scissors. I tend to use my hands for just about everything, but if you're going to use scissors, use really sharp ones. But what I do is I take the lower leaves. There's a snail at the end of him. They eat things. Anyway, you take the leaf right at the base, and you turn it and lift a little bit while you turn. Right, you just pull and turn. Here's a leaf this leaf is below everything. It's not getting very good sun. You can see it's slightly discolored, but it's still perfectly edible. So I'm just going to remove all the lower leaves from this lettuce here that are going into the other plant, so that there's a bit more, some daylight between the plants. Right? Another reason you want to do this is it's harder for the pests to hide. Right? Maybe that snail that I just picked off, if they weren't so close together, a bird could come in and eat the snail, right? Because they eat snails. Or maybe a snake or something. I haven't seen too many snakes this year. Anyway, I also got some stuff growing on this side, so I want to pick the leaves that are moving towards that. See, there's a leaf, you can see that. It's below the other leaves and it's losing its color because it's in the shade, it's not getting good sun. It's got no real future, right? All these lower leaves don't really have a future because they're not getting sun. So why would I leave them there just to be eaten by pests when I can be eating them, right? Pick them off before that becomes a thing. Again, you don't just pull, you sort of pull and lift and twist a little bit, like that sort of thing. Sort of put your thumb along the spine of the plant, grab the base of the stem and sort of turn and lift. And don't take too much from any one plant, right? Because you don't want to weaken that plant. Right? That's the beauty of this. You just take a little bit from every plant until you've got enough for a nice a salad in this case. While you're doing that, you're just pulling any weeds you might see and just managing things, right? I don't really do a lot of weeding in my garden. I've got a good mulch and there's the odd weed, but it's really not that much of a problem. And all the weeding I really do is while I'm harvesting. Here. I've read other people talking about, oh, just cut it off and it'll grow back with romaine lettuce. If you cut it off, it does grow back, but it grows back in a very pathetic way. You get a lot more of the plant by just taking a few leaves from each plant, in my experience anyway. If I cut this off, it would be a whole bunch of injured leaves. It would be leaking this juice. It would draw slugs and snails. They love that, you know, anything that looks weakened like that. And it would come back at such a slow rate, it really wouldn't do much for me. You get more out of the plant by doing it this way. At least that's been my experience. So that's lettuce, and I find lettuce that grows like a bouquet, like this wouldn't work very well with iceberg lettuce. It wouldn't break off as easily. So you want the lettuce that, whatever variety grows out like a bouquet and has a longer growing season. Like leaf lettuce tends to bolt very quickly, and you have to do succession planting, which I've explained before. I find it's a bit of a pain. I prefer to just plant something that's going to grow for a good month before it bolts. That way you get the most out of your lettuce, right? So that's lettuce. Here we have some beet greens, and you can thin them. These are a bit tight, so I mean there's a spot here. I don't know how obvious that is. Let me check the camera here. Zoom that in a bit. Here we've got some beet greens, and there's a spot here where the beets are a bit tight. You can see there's 3 growing in one spot. That's a bit too many in my opinion. So maybe this one I can just pull it. Right? There's a bit of a beet there, not much, but that'll allow the other plants to get more light and sun and water. And that's not much of a beet, but you can still eat that if you really want to. But the greens are wonderful, right? So there's beets. If you just wanted the greens, I wouldn't take any more than one stem. Like let's say I wanted to cook up a mess of greens, which I love to eat this time of year. I would just take one leaf off each plant. I wouldn't take any more than that because it'll just weaken the plant and minimize its ability to send energy to the root, which you're growing the beets for the roots, really. The greens are just a bonus. So for a plant like this where it's creating a root, I would only take one leaf off each plant. But if you've got a full bed, like this is a, zoom this back up here. I got a 4 by 10 bed of beets here, so it's nothing to fill a bowl with beet greens by just taking one leaf off each plant, right? And that's not hard to do. And just like the lettuce, you take leaves in a way that's going to open up the area to the sunlight and minimize how much the plants are touching each other and that sort of thing. You're pruning, really. That's the general principle being employed. Here I have a beautiful bed of red Russian kale. There's a couple other kinds of kale jammed in there and some other plants, but generally it's red Russian kale. This is a unique bed because I didn't plant any of this. I threw some seeds on this last fall and they just came up on their own. You know, I picked out the ones that looked weak, and I picked out the ones that were in the wrong place, and just let the sort of stronger, better ones take over the space. But as you can see, it's beautiful kale. Some of these plants are over a foot high. This is in late June, which isn't bad for this part of the world. Anyway, the approach to harvesting these is the same when you're doing cut and chem. Again, you're thinning, you're pruning, and you're just taking a leaf off each plant, or one or two leaves off each plant until you have the amount you want to make your meal. Try to zoom that up a bit, show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so I don't know how well this is going to come across on camera, but I got one kale plant here, one big beautiful kale plant here, and they're moving into each other's space. And yeah, maybe I should have planted them a bit wider apart. Blackberry growing there. But this is okay. Anyway, what I'm going to do is take away the lower leaves that are underneath the big leaves, because they've got no real future. And any leaf, like this leaf, is moving into this plant space. So I'll take that one off too. I'm using that same thing I did with the lettuce. Just sort of turn and twist at the base. Run your hand down along the stem until you hit the base of the plant, and just turn and lift a bit. And that will not hurt the plant. I mean, I'm doing this for years. It's not going to take anything away from the plant. Everything that's underneath, not getting good sun. Everything that's moving in, here's a leaf that's moving into this plant space. So I'm going to take that one. Here's a leaf down here that's underneath everything, doesn't have much of a future. These ones are big and they look really good, but they're not getting attacked by anything. They're big and healthy, and they're going to get bigger. So I'm just going to let them continue to grow, because you know they've got all the space they need. Right? And you just continue on in the bed until you've got the amount you want. Now this nice little lacinato kale can get some sun. And that's another good example, another thing I can show you. So I've got a little lacinato kale plant here that I transplanted early in the year, and it's adapted okay to this soil. But we've got some leaves that are immaculate. We got some other leaves that have holes in them. They've been attacked. Now, they were probably attacked because they were the leaves that were the main leaves when the plant was initially put here, and it was in a slightly weakened state, and the insects went after it. So why not just take those off? Right, they're not doing well. Right, that one's lost its color. It probably doesn't taste very good, but this one's okay. I'll eat that. This one's fine too. A couple holes don't bother me at all. It's going to be fried up anyway with bacon and garlic. A little bit of weeding as you go. I see a bit of sorrel here and blackberry. I've got a real blackberry problem in my garden. It just seems to come in from the forest. There's really not much they can do about it. Here's another thing. I got a little kale plant coming up here. There's one here. It's got no future. I also just remove it. It's underneath another plant. Fire that off into the woods. Alright, that's done. Here we have a garden bed of, I believe this is broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Greens are perfectly edible. Oh no, it's a kohlrabi and Brussels sprouts, I believe. Some of these are kohlrabi. Kohlrabi is a root vegetable, like a turnip, I guess. I don't really like the root very much. Some people say they're great in soup and so on, and they're fine in soup because they just add a bit of flavor and they just become part of the overall mush. But really, I grow kohlrabi because I love the greens. They're fantastic greens. They're analogous to collard greens, except collard greens have to be cooked for quite a while to get a good meal out of them, whereas kohlrabi greens cook in about a minute, just like kale. So you get the collard green flavor without the collard green time. So I don't grow collards, I grow kohlrabi. And you just take one leaf off each plant. These aren't really, I just moved these about a week ago from another location. They were overcrowded, so I created this garden bed, put a bit of horse manure in there and planted these. And we had a good 3 days of rain, so they had time to adapt. And they're doing okay. But what I wanted to show you here is that there's still some leaves that aren't doing well. I've got one right here. It's lost all its color. It's being attacked. Right? Not going to taste very good. Donate that to the nature. And here's one it's wilted a bit, and the plant looks like it's sacrificing it for the good of the rest of the plant. That's still edible, so I'll eat that. Here's another one. Doesn't look very healthy. If you got a leaf that's losing color and it's not healthy, it's just going to get attacked, right? The bugs seem to prefer those more than anything else. They love weakened leaves. Here's a leaf that was cut right off by something. I don't know what cut that, but anyway, that's done. Here's a weakened leaf. Right, still edible. I'll eat that. Now, I'm not starving. I'm not in a survival situation, but why waste it, right? A couple leaves on this plant have been attacked. This is a kohlrabi. So they're just providing a host to the pests that are eating them. Here's a leaf that's still perfectly good to eat. So I'll take that one. Those are pathetic looking. They're gone. You just continue on through the garden and just pick away everything that looks like it doesn't have a future. And favor the good leaves, and the plant will be stronger for it. You're just culling out the leaves that don't really have a future. So you're helping the plant, really. You're pruning. It's basically pruning, just like on a tree. If you had a bad branch or a bad stem that's looked unwell or unhealthy, why continue to force the plant to supply energy to that piece of the plant when it really doesn't have a future in terms of you eating it? It's probably going to die. It's probably going to get attacked anyway. You might as well get rid of it, eat it, and move on with your day. Here's another leaf. Right? These are nice and see. All these ones are up and they're holding their own. This one's drooping. So I don't think it's got a future. So I'm going to eat it before something else gets to it. So that's the general idea for that. One more thing. I've got some garlic here, and you can treat garlic like a cut and come again plant. If you don't want to buy garlic and you've got garlic growing in your garden and it's certainly not ready to be harvested yet as bulbs, you can snap off a lower leaf from, every other plant sort of thing. That won't hurt the plant. It'll be fine. And if you really want to, you can, right? I wouldn't take any more than one because the plant needs that to gather energy for the bulb. So that's one thing you can do. But then, as the season progresses, you start to get these things, garlic scapes. I don't know how well you can see that, but the garlic is sending up a flower. In a nice sharp pair of scissors, and you just cut that flower off at the base. Boom. And you can use these as a garlic substitute. They taste great. They're a bit not quite as strong as garlic, but certainly they'll add a garlic flavor to whatever you're eating. So, and it's argued that by cutting off that flower, the plant stops sending energy to the flower and puts all its energy into the root, into the bulb, which is what you want anyway. So garlic can be a cut and come again plant in a certain sense as well, if you go at it that way. And I've been doing that in this garden, and I've done that for years. Just taking a leaf off here or there. I have some garlic. Most of my garlic are music garlic, and I have some garlic in certain years that are 4 inches wide in diameter. So taking a leaf off here or there, when you've got a lot of it, it really doesn't seem to hurt the plant too badly. Alright, so just a quick video on cut and come again, how to go about that, how to do that in a way that is a benefit to your plants and increases the overall yield and keeps the pests under control and keeps the diseases under control. It's getting kind of hot now, maybe a black t-shirt was the wrong choice today. Anyway, I hope you find this content interesting. If you like this, like us on Facebook. Check out our podcast, maritimegardening.com. Check out my column, Growing Food with Greg in the Local Express. And until next time, get out there, get at it. Try not to get eaten to death by horseflies, and have fun in your garden. Thanks, bye.